Join me on a wonderful journey through the Southern Alps, through the Ticino. I'm just crossing over here the main valley onto this west-facing ridgeline in the Leventina. And you can see there's a beautiful cloud street above this ridgeline. It was my initial intention to climb up, but it was quite lifty. So I decided to profit of the conditions and just race along this ridgeline. You can see I'm not gaining any altitude, but I'm also not losing any altitude. So I continue fly straight. Ideally, I would like to climb a little bit higher up on the ridge to fully profit from the thermal flow. And you can see that sometimes it's a bit shallow, the terrain is a bit shallow, and therefore I would like to climb, but I don't really find any strong thermal. So I just continue racing, enjoying the beautiful autumn colors of the trees, and I wait for a good thermal to come along to really climb out. You can see this section is quite a bit shallow in front of me, and ideally would like to be up on the right, up on the ridge line. So ultimately I do take my time, even though the thermal I find here is not really the greatest thermal, but I take my time, climb up, enjoy the view, and you can see this beautiful cloud street above the ridge, the first snow up on the ridge. And now I'm pretty much where I want to be, high up on the ridge line. And you can see that behind it's even more shallow, the terrain, so I do climb up one more time in order to connect with the high ground that has the really good thermal potential in the back in order to maximize my speed. So now I'm quite a bit higher up, and you can see here it's really sweet cruising. I'm just flying straight, I'm climbing quite well. I'm gaining overall some altitude. It's really just very racing conditions here in this beautiful autumn day. Soon enough comes one of my favorite sections of this flight. So I'm approaching a quite steep ridge line, which is a bit darker, free of the snow, as you can see. And I'm coming in quite low, and you can see that I can really surf it. I come up over the ridge line just by flying straight, and continue to climb on later on and get closer to cloud base, as you can see, just by flying straight. Down to my right is the Lago de Ritom, which is a beautiful mountain lake. It's an artificial lake made for or used for power generation. I have some transition coming up in front of me, so I decided to climb up again and get enough altitude in order to securely fly over this transition and arrive high, to not waste any time and immediately find another climb once I have done the transition. Also, I'm nearing the Gotthard Pass, which is the main pass or one of the main crossings of the Alps from north to south. And there's always some wind, even though this day was very light wind. So you can see me crossing over now. There's the road just underneath me. So I like to usually cross these passes with a bit of altitude, just to avoid the occasional wind. So now I'm in the Pedreto Valley. It's a beautiful valley, very fast flying here, very good south side ridges. You can see there are fewer clouds than in the valley before, so the valley floor here is a bit drier. Conditions are generally a bit drier in this valley, but the thermals are not any weaker as before. Actually, quite the contrary. They're even stronger than before. And you can see I can fly quite a bit straight line here, up on these big mountains that come up to the right. I still take some thermals because I want to be high, because soon we are entering snow territory, and there is only a few thermals up on the higher ridges on these really steep cliffs which are clear of the snow. So you want to fly in there high, and I take my time. You can see the really perfect cloud street along this valley. If we look more towards my destination, you can see there's fewer clouds, lots of snow, and yeah, so I just push it a little bit and fly all the way to the end of this ridge until there's just snow and very few thermals, and then I turn around. So here I'm flying back. You can see the cliffs can still be surfed and there are some thermals. And here I can really profit of the altitude that I've gained to reach the turn point. And it's just full-on racing conditions. I'm pushing the speed bar. I'm just going up. You can see I'm flying straight. And I still get closer to cloud base, as you can see here. It's really as perfect as it gets. You can see the cloud street. I just follow. I fly here more or less on the edge of the snow line, so often in spring or early summer this is the best line to take, and also in this early autumn day, which resembled a lot springtime conditions actually. This was the best tactic. So here I just enter the Gotthard Pass once again, and I take a little bit more altitude in order to do this transition, in order to avoid the wind. And I come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.